Magdalene. Woman, no need to search any longer, the priestess of wealth. Woman, it is time to heal thyself.
Welcome, everyone. I'm here with my dear friend Kristin that we met a few years ago on the Women's International Network. She's an amazing woman. I'm so honored to have her part of the Women Arising International Summit, because she's done so much work, not just on the spiritual level, but also on the grounding, average, daily grind level, in a sense, if I want to call it that way. And she's just, I don't know how to explain it. She's such a beauty in bringing all women together all over the world. And now we're blending the Women Arising with the Women International Network, in a sense that we want to share this to all the women in the world. And they can be in, in Geneva doing all this speaking and all this stuff in the, I keep forgetting what it was, oh my goodness.
United Nations.
United Nations, that's it. I feel like I'm a little bit like, okay, I'm thinking about spiritual, but we talked about being grounded. The United Nations, thank you so much. And she's done a lot of work traveling all over the world, like I said earlier, and even places like Dubai and places like that. The women really are in a different, they have a different way than the Western women. Mm-hmm. And she's just opening up all those doorways to women to explore themselves, to get themselves, and also in business, but also in the spiritual aspect. So I had an honor to be one of her workshops in one of the Women International Network that she did in Greece, and that was amazing also. Yeah. So, welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to have you again, to be part of this. And I get very excited about your trip in the world, because we travel in this world, correct? We're not just sitting in front of an office, but you travel everywhere in the world. You connect women from Japan all the way to, I don't know, the smallest little countries that you can imagine. So tell me about that process. How did you decide to do this? Because you've been doing it for many years.
Yeah, it's very interesting because as I told you once before, I'm from Norway, and I grew up actually in quite a small town on the west coast of Norway with many islands and mountains, totally out, very surrounded by nature also. And but something happens when you are in the sea. I think a lot of people who are growing up on the sea has often sometimes this possibility to dream of all the places you can go to. And I think actually that was the Vikings even did that, they did that. Anyway, so I started to wish to travel, but actually my parents always brought us to mountaintops and islands and forests and all these type of things. But later I started to travel, and I traveled quite a lot for my studies, and then I stayed in Italy for very long. But at a certain point I did a lot of consulting work, where it brought me to a lot of Eastern Europe, to Russia, to many countries around the world. And I got this epiphany one day that, oh my God, like how lucky was I growing up in a society where I had so much choice. I had choice to educate myself. If I got sick, I had a hospital. If I wanted to work, I could work. If I fell out of the system, I would also get support. And I realized that so many places around the world, women didn't have, or people didn't have choice, but particularly the women. So that was something I was thinking, oh God, one day I want to do something about that. And then also I'd worked in companies, and I felt that was like, so I felt like I always had to, it was almost like wearing a straitjacket in some of those environments. It's like, I don't fit it in. I had a suit that didn't really fit me. So that was a feeling on my body. And so I left that quite quickly. And then I enjoyed being with other women. So then I started to explore how we can get women together. And bringing women together, I thought, was the fastest way to accelerate change in the world, where we can bring women from all over the world together to build bridges, get to know each other, and also where we can start looking at how can we create new workplaces that don't feel like a straitjacket to us, but where we feel free and open to create and put what we are here to do into the workplace, into our home places, into society. And then also coming together was also so much fun for me. I think it gives something to all of us. And not so long time ago, I also read a study from Harvard, actually back in the 50s. It was Harvard Nursing School that had a study, which later have been worked on even more, that said that women come together with de-stress. So it is important for us. It's like someone may go for a jog, and that's good too. But for women in particular, we need each other in community. So I thought, oh, let's do that. And then also on this part of working on ourselves, on being these women are rising, we also know that, oh, I can't rise on my own. And yes, I can journal, I can connect with the invisible realm, and connecting with sisters I grow. And it's this saying we always say, it's this Edwin, that we can probably only see ourselves in the mirror of another. So if I grow and then I meet people that are more different from me, I have a chance to grow even more. So if I am hanging out in Abuja with my sisters in Nigeria, it's a chance not only for them to meet me, but for me to meet them and for me to learn from them, because they are then a different mirror of me in another way, and so on and so forth. And then, so that's it's a great way. So if you go, and then you go to Japan and we go to each other. So somehow when we learn about all these different people and the different aspects of ourselves in learning about them, then we also expand this global consciousness, I think. So.
Yeah, there's so many questions that came up just for what you just said. I'm going to try to focus on a couple. Well, traveling, coming from Norway and traveling all over the world, of course, is part of the Viking spirit that you have inside of you, that never stops. And also, you're saying living in the seas. I have a similar situation. I live, in Greece, and I want to travel the world and explore it and find women and men and really connect with that. But also, what is very powerful is that you decided to do this and to let go of the old world and actually blend that old world to the new one with a new way, with a new structure. I don't want to call it structure, but a new opportunities, because we don't want to be in the old structure. To me, that's a very harsh word. But the way you do it is so powerful, because letting go of the old. We women need to stop doing work as men. We need to both blend, correct?
Yeah. And this is becoming, it's so clear now. In the early days of this work of exploring the feminine in the first place, what is this feminine, and exploring, using more of our intuition to really care, to work from our heart and collaborate. I think it's such an incredible exploration that I encourage everybody to do, because so much of the current business ways based on competitive ways, it's based on also analytical ways. And some people are also seeing this other way as, maybe not equally serious and so on, which is just obviously not true. And we know that, and the world is even depending on this way. And it's also depending on all of us giving it value, because that is so important now. And in order for us to create the new world, we cannot do it only in this plane of the mental, of the planning. So we do need to rely on our rising, or on the new that's emerging within us and around us, or in relationship with each other, with the divine, with Mother Earth, and our own self. So it's a lot about connecting, and this connecting is connecting to ourselves, our inner self, but each other, and also to what is emerging and the new things, and to learn to do that and to expand that. It's in it, everybody knows it. It's to expand it. It's critical.
The other question that it came up is, how do you feel when you go to places like that? Say, for example, UN, that is such a structure, that's such an old way. How you prepare yourself to actually
Yeah,
go do the work that you do in those kind of places?
yeah,
Because in a sense,
yeah,
it is a little bit of a dark, old energy, correct? You
yeah,
have to
yeah,
call it dark, but it's, you know, but it's old energy. How do you
yes.
prepare yourself? How do you get there, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's so interesting. So yeah, so we recently had this experience of working inside the UN on a gathering of women, women's event. And we see that, okay, even the room is very rigidly structured. We have tables in front of every seat, so you cannot just speak with nothing in front of you. So there's big things in front of you. Um,
So you
and
can
then,
open your heart chakra, correct? You can just not open your heart to listen because you have all
yeah,
the stuff in front of you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And still you can, and then still you realize that, oh, maybe I do need to do that even more now. You know, so it's so that's the thing. And yeah, so here's what I did when I was working on that. I thought, oh God, this is such a rigid structure and a rigid way and so on. But then somehow I just decided, okay, let me give in to that. And that's the way. Let's work with what we have. And that was like a very interesting thing. Let us work with what we have, because working with what we have then is the fixed thing, which is sometimes helpful also in all creative life, that, okay, we have certain parameters within which we will fill it up with beautiful energy of something else, right? The new, the feminine, within the parameters of the rigid. And once we relaxed into that, then it became really beautiful. And we did work a lot, meditate before, during, you know, there's a lot of asking for help. And then I even realized that then you can use a structure to have the feminine flow. So that is also something interesting. I think, and then I was somewhere else too, where it's very competitive, where this old male, or not male in the sense of male, but in the sense of this competitive structure that also is
Masculine energy. Yeah, like a
a
masculine.
masculine energy. And then I had another experience because I realized that, oh God, this annoys me, it irritates me, or whatever is too much. But then I also had to work with me, because then I was like, okay, there's a part of me that's that too. If we really believe in the unity consciousness, we are all parts of us. So at least I need to find peace with it somehow, even if it might not be my preference. So, but where I am now, I see that, oh, the world really, really needs the feminine, and it really, really needs it. And it's so important, and it needs all women, or all the dreams of the feminine, and it really needs us to value it, because what I see so clearly too, that once certain things are in the masculine structure, even many women give it a lot of value and say, oh, finally this was very serious. No, it was serious before too, but we just didn't. Yeah, so this is also something now that we can train ourselves, that everything that is in the feminine, to give it value, to really value it inside you, inside another. Yeah.
So you're saying actually value ourselves for what we got, and then we can break through the obstacle.
Yes.
Instead of fighting the obstacle.
Exactly. That's the thing. This is like, so being so present to whatever we are, is an acceptance of it, which in itself then transforms it.
I love that. That's really, that kind
Yeah.
of reminds me of a kind of Viking warrior woman. I think from what I done, a little bit of the study that I done on the warrior, Viking warriors, and specifically the women, they also had that heart when they
Yeah.
fought. So they
Yeah.
broke obstacles through their heart. It wasn't just, oh, I'm a warrior and I have a masculine energy and I'm just going to go kill, I need to break through. And that's what's so beautiful, that you carry that from your ancestors, because that is also a very powerful thing that we need to start recognizing what we carry inside of us as women.
Yeah.
And I think that's so amazing that you're able to go to those places. There's such a structure, and you say, this table means nothing to me. I'm going to pierce through that table, pull my heart, and spread it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I realized that could be transformed. And then this this warrior energy thing is to take a stand for things too, and to take to set these boundaries. So it's so important that.
Yeah, and learn how to say no, and learn
Yeah,
when to say yes. That's
yeah,
also a beautiful
yeah,
word there, I think, in all the
yeah,
women we have it. We have
yeah,
this.
yeah,
And also to really say, okay, this is good for me and this is not good for me. But first tell it to yourself, and then you
yeah.
can emanate it, you know? Once
Yes,
you start emanate it, then everything just flows, correct?
exactly. And I think this is the word that is so exciting at the moment. This emanating. How can we be an emanating force in the world? So if you talk about connecting with people, even oh, I want to network, we want to connect, we want to create good things for us in the world. And it is this balance of the feminine. If we are this inspiring force from which something emanates, and what emanates attracts other things, because then we resonate something, we inspire something that causes things to change. And other times, then we correspond with it in an action. So it is this dance between
The fact
receiving and doing. Yeah,
receiving and giving at the same time.
yeah, yeah,
We're
exactly.
not binding the masculine and the feminine energy. So it is in the balance and working on our lower chakras, as we talked a second ago.
Yeah, yes,
That's
yeah,
very important also, you know?
yes, yeah, yeah. Actually, in this time, I work a lot on my lower chakras. I don't particular all through these past 2 years, worked a lot on my 3 lower chakras every day, because it makes me feel more safe. It makes me feel I belong to this earth when I have this imbalance. And then actually the higher can come in, because it has a safe base. That's my experience. But each of us are different. Some are really strong there and needs to work on the others. So.
Yeah, but it's very interesting. I think we all need to balance all the chakras anyway. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter,
yeah,
we are.
yes, yeah.
And also really understand our bodies, as we talked in other times. But so let me ask you, what do we can offer the women that are listening to us right now? What can we
Yeah.
just, you can share with them about how to be in the business world at the same time, how to be in the spiritual world?
Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting. I think what we just there's something about being very grounded at the moment that's a very important ability, because I didn't know how to call it, like a skill, but it's an ability.
It's a skill. It's in the
Yeah.
skill and
So
ability for sure.
because when you have worked a lot on yourself and you are in the spiritual world and following your journey, maybe you meditate, you journal, you do all these right things, we are sensing things. But no, it's about standing in the world on our feet and being on earth, very grounded, very, very grounded. Because that's when we have the power. The power in the sense, not power over or something, but power inside to stay on course, to not deviate, not, so when we are in a work situation, business, or in an environment where everybody's competing, or now sometimes there's people out there, very survival culture, certain areas of the world or certain meetings and stuff. So then we just need to stay very grounded and also very open. So we are open to receive, so that we can continue to receive and follow our path, which is often and seemingly invisible path, but it is always all these signs and synchronicity. So I find it so exciting to be on this journey, a creative journey of my life, where things are coming up and are happening as I move forward. And the grounding is one of the most important things. So grounding and this thing being open and catch yourself in judging others and self. We all have biases, and many people say, oh, stop judging. And that's not so easy. I will say rather, learn to catch our biases, learn to catch it when it happens and look at it and then let it go.
So you probably got a lot in your beginning, correct? You probably got a
Yeah,
lot of judgment in the beginning, because you went from also from a very male masculine kind of industry to actually blend it and become in the spiritual. So you got a lot of that judgment. Did you get it from women also, or just men?
Yeah. It's been such a healing journey in this past few years because got so much judgment. There was, and I think that's also for everybody on this who are going with the feminine in more traditional masculinely run areas of the world. It's not necessarily easy. So we will get judged. You will get almost harassed for it, and maybe many of you have experienced that. And then this the healing of letting that go to this so that it doesn't scar us forever. But what has been the biggest healing was that also from the women who didn't understand the feminine.
Yes.
But I can also understand that maybe someone has invested 30 years of their life in the masculine, and suddenly they see someone who is doing it in the feminine way, and it crashes. It's not easy. So that's why we need to be open, and also not to judge the women who are very in the masculine. Maybe that was their only way to get there. Maybe they didn't feel they had a choice. But at the same time, set our boundaries and not be hurt by that, because that's something the younger me, I was not so good at setting those boundaries. So the current me would handle many situations very differently. But so I think whatever path we are on, be conscious on your path, stay on your path and don't deviate. And that is our thing. And all this criticism that might come, we heal it as it comes up, and try to protect yourself also.
And yeah, if we stay on that focus that you said, stay in our path, that also gives us the power, that strengthens the power that we don't really, accept this judgment in, because we totally protect of our path.
Yeah, and also yes, and then also I had this the other day, like, okay, but so maybe I took some people criticizing me for doing things more in a feminine way, but there was a part of me that received that criticism very hard, and so it's always a possibility to look at, why did I take it so hard? And now, and then you need to heal that part. Maybe I was insecure about it too, which is just human, of course, but it's always a possibility until that doesn't bother us anymore. And then we are free. Yeah.
And that's the work that we need to do, because I think sometimes we do work, and then within ourselves, and then one big thing comes in that all of a sudden we get judged out of nowhere. And I think because it's the last kind of deal to look at it. And if it's after that, after it's done, one big thing, because it's hidden inside. So says, let me show it to you in a big way so you can get it.
Yeah.
And once
yes, and now I have spoken to a lot of women these past 2 weeks actually who felt a lot of anger, and it's like, why? And is that they're waking up to see all the times maybe they accepted things that they shouldn't have accepted and were unacceptable and things like that, and you wake up to that anger. But that quickly needs to be healed too, so that the next time it doesn't bother you anymore, or you take a stand, you are firm, you say no. But the exciting part, maybe we don't always do it, but we are part of a learning journey, and the moment we are very clear on that, then all these things can also come, but inside that, okay, wow, I'm a part of learning, I'm a part of growth.
And that's what makes you stronger and stronger, the more you can just take yourself and not accept what other people are saying, but look at it, but don't accept it, and don't make it yours. Don't make it like, oh my God, I'm insecure, this is said that, and then the insecurity becomes big, or the judgment. Just say, okay, maybe there's a little bit of judgment there for me. Can I look at it? Maybe I judge something in my. So I think that's the key of women. And you work, for me, it's so amazing and inspiring. I really, really love having you and being part of us this, for this segment. Because we all need to connect. We all need to be this way. And it's so great that we just had this whole thing just happen the past 2 years, because now we're connecting and we can spread the word everywhere with the work you're doing. And you go to countries that the women are actually suppressed also.
Yes, a lot.
And how do you find that? What do you find? The women, I think, are thirsty there, correct? And they're very powerful.
Very thirsty. So what I also found is that it's very important that women get the chances and choices, because when there are very few that has power, sometimes you see more of this very competitive behavior, because sometimes you see that, or you see also this kindness. But in some ways, there isn't ever lack. So I don't think that behavior is never actually needed. This behavior of trying to grasp and grab whatever you can, this can happen in certain environments when you feel there is lack. So there's two things you see in environments where the women are not so empowered. It's either a little bit of that, let's grab it because we are so few, or it's also incredible solidarity because they are all in that same boat. And that is beautiful. And I think that's something we need to really go back to, and just trust that we can trust another woman. And just like there has been a mother wound to heal for many women, it's also been the sister wound, So I think in this particular time in history, it's also important that we really learn to be with women and to trust each other, and that show that we are trustable, And
trusting another woman, yeah.
And I mean, some countries they're also lucky because they have such communities, and certain certain more individualized countries, they're less community than in certain collective countries. So I think we have something to learn from absolutely everybody.
I agree with you. So what, one last word before we get into your offering for us, what do you want to say to the women that
say that if we want to continue work through this synchronistic and more connecting way of reaching out to people, so if you are in a place, not just always look for talking to the most important person according to the hierarchy, but just really take seriously who you're sitting next to, who you are meeting in the corridor or the Zoom, or take seriously those that are coming your way, not just go after. That's another energy when we go after things. So if you're looking for what's emerging, what's coming our way, life gets very, very exciting. That's a lot of the magic. And then of course sometimes you need to go after little things, but don't be in that energy all the time, and be in the kindness of helping people also. And sometimes you think, oh, I can't do that, but yes, you can. I mean, over time it really works out. And of course, including helping yourself. So I would say just be open, be willing to connect on all levels, share about yourself, and don't doubt that, and share all things about, I mean, not the whole things, but share also something particularly what we are inspired, because we want to shine together and lift each other up. And that's important in this time. And take some risk, always take some risk.
Yeah.
And who we are is also being made up as we live our life. And I think it's important we commit, we work on being somebody who's reliable, basically, because that's also in this time of a lot of uncertainty. If we can be a reliable person in the world, that can help somebody else, and so on and so forth. So yeah, and just do things we think is fun to follow the magic.
I love it. Follow the magic and who's sitting next to you, because you're right. Sometimes a person can sit next to us and they look a little bit different, or they're dressed a little bit different, but inside they can be exactly where you come through, from where you came through, but they're just dressed a little bit different, or their hair is a little bit different, or they speak a different language, or that whatever it is. But they might have exactly the same story. You never know where they're coming from.
You never know. So.
And you always have something to learn from the person that sits next to you, or in the supermarket, or whatever. I love that. That's so great for us to stay open in that space. And it's so powerful when women can actually start doing that instead of competing, comparing, judging, because we do that all the time. We do that.
But yeah, really, this, yeah, don't, no comparison. Just be, I think it's back to this staying very grounded, very present. Then we don't need to compare so much also. You know.
Because there's so many, you know, people have so many wounds, but they can heal it by just talking to another person next to them in a dinner table. Never
Also,
mind.
yeah,
Just like that. It can
yeah,
happen just like that.
just like that, exactly. And that's the magic of things. And then also I notice over time that there is almost like we all have patterns. There's like patterns of our lives that, because you talk to that maybe one person, something else happened, and later looking back you saw what that one conversation maybe meant. So it's always very exciting if you are in that open state of receiving.
Yeah. And also if you start receiving, then you have more to give. Because if you
Yes.
just give, you have nothing to, you cannot receive.
Yeah, and this is exactly, so this magic dance of this giving and receiving, which must also be honored. Yeah.
So great. So what do you have to offer for the women that listen?
Yeah, so what I have to offer is that we are doing amazing offering or amazing gathering of women in Rome around the 21st of September. So it's from 20 to 24th of September. We're meeting in Rome. Okay, you can also go online and watch it online too, but primarily it's an in-person meeting. So everybody on this Women Are Rising Summit will have a discount on the meeting. So I will write that down in this meeting notes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great because, you know, the Women's International Network is going to be in Rome. And I think you do it once a year or a couple times a year in different countries.
Yeah, no, the big global conference is once a year, but then we do some other smaller meetings around and regional things as well. So
you know, when is your next global big meeting and where it's
yeah, that's the one in Rome. That's the one in Rome.
Okay, so it is a global
meeting. Yeah, so that's where we invite people from around the world. And after 2 years of doing it online, I mean, the last in person was in Athens, and that's where I met with Steph. And then we have had 2 online versions, and now we're back in Rome, where we've also been a few times. It's a very successful place for us to be because in September the weather is nice, and it has also a certain feminine flair to it. Actually, I feel it's and it's bringing in the past and the present, and then we look together also at the future. So I think it's a nice place to be inspired by those, the past, the present, and we work on our vision for the future, or dream for the future together, and how we can create the world, so our societies, our workplaces, and our very lives in more balanced form of the authentic feminine and the divine masculine also.
Okay, so what we're going to do is put your website underneath, and you can tell us, you know, you can just write whatever the gift will be, and we'll let the women know. They can watch it online, or they can come to Rome, and I'm planning to get there. So let's look at my schedule, and I will be there.
Yeah, Zefi will be there. And also, just to say more about this conference, it's like an experience because it's also designed in the spirit of the feminine. And it's not that we are only doing feminine workshops or a spiritual workshop. It also looks actually at the workplace too. How can we create it? It looks at the world, but it does it in this balanced form. And we have people speaking on stage, but we all have lots of workshop parallel things going on. Everybody has a share possibility to share. And this year we are looking also in the beginning to share everybody's stories, like where we come from, our roots, where we come from. And then we get inspired during the day, and as we are going towards the latter part of the meeting, we look at our visions for the future. So we're actually really going to be inspired by the structure of the past, the moment, and where we are heading collectively as women and men who want to see a more balanced future, and in the world, in the workplace, and in our very life.
That is beautiful. That is, and having all women share on stage, that is the most powerful thing.
Yeah, exactly.
200 women normally, or 400. I don't know how many you get globally, but I think it's a lot of women in front. Yes.
Yeah, several hundred. We just don't know this year, but you know, with all the different things going on in the world. But I think also there is a really strong urge right now to come together also occasionally. Maybe not all the time, but sometimes we want to do that.
Yeah, we need to start coming back together, because I think
Yeah.
doing on the computer, it's a lot, and a lot of people try to stay away now from it. But
Yeah.
we'll start gathering again. The time will
Yeah.
come, and if we do it, women are very powerful. We can shift everything that we want.
Yes.
As long as
So
we put our minds to it, we can shift everything.
yeah. So everybody, discount 20 to 24th of September, winconference.net, and that's it. Yeah.
And just use Women Are Rising when you sign up.
Yeah, Women Are Rising.
So she knows exactly you guys coming from us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is the powerful thing. And maybe we'll see you all in Rome.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you again so much. I really appreciate your the zest for life that you have to create this incredible thing. And I'm very honored that you're speaking with us and sharing all this. Thank you so much.
Thank you also. Thank you.
And thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.